Hello, third and fourth grade, and welcome to week 15 in general music. So the unit we're on is called Music Tells a Story. So in this unit, we're going to sing a story song, say what instrument or instrument family is playing, and you're going to learn how to say your opinion about what you hear. And we're really going to focus on how music can tell or enhance a story. So one of the most famous musical stories was written by a man named Prokofiev. He's the composer, and he wrote some music called Peter and the Wolf. It tells the story of a little boy named Peter who lived with his grandfather, and his grandfather said all the time, "Peter, do not go into the meadow. The wolf might come out of the forest and it could be dangerous." Well, one day, Peter decided to go in the meadow. And that's the story of what happens with Peter and the Wolf. So in Prokofiev's story, different instruments in the orchestra are used to represent different characters in the story. So what we found when we met on week 15 was that we needed a little bit of review of the instruments of the orchestra. So we're going to take a few minutes now and we're going to review what we had already learned about the orchestra. Okay, so it will be a good use of our time. So in real life class also we had a visitor. Mr. DeLelio came down from the upstairs to the downstairs, and he is a bassoonist. So let me play for you. He played a little bit for us, explained what a reed looked like, and played the bassoon. Look for the bassoon in the story of Peter and the Wolf. This is what it looks like and sounds like when Mr. DeLelio plays this. Okay, so that is a bassoon. It is a woodwind instrument. And keep an eye out for that and figure out which character it represents in our story, Peter and the Wolf. Now, to learn more about the instruments of the orchestra, we're going to go on over to musicplay.com, Music Play Online. The link is in the important links tab on this website, so it's easy to find, musicplayonline.com. Okay, so let's look at that right now. And I'll show you where to find this tab. So if you go to Music Play, musicplayonline.com, okay, and you scroll down to the third button there, Instruments of the Orchestra, this is a wonderful review. It walks you right through it, okay? So we've got an introduction. We'll start right there. So an orchestra is a large group of musicians who perform together. The orchestra has a seating plan. There are assigned seats. There are 4 families in the orchestra. In the front, we have the strings family shaded here in blue. Look how large the strings family is. There are at least 4 instruments in the strings family: the violin, viola, cello, and bass, which we'll get to. This is what the strings sound like. Okay, the next family we're going to look at is the woodwinds. There are a lot of woodwinds in our story, Peter and the Wolf. They sit in the middle section of the orchestra, here shaded in blue. These are the woodwinds. Let's hear the woodwinds. So the third family we're going to talk about is the brass family. They're shaded in blue here. They sit closer to the back. Let's hear the brass family. Okay, one more. Remember, there's 4 families. Percussion. Percussion's all the way in the back. They are the loudest, so they sit in the back of the orchestra. Let's hear some percussion. Okay, so that's a great review of the 4 families. You can do these slides again anytime you want on Music Play Online. The instruments are grouped together in families because they are made from similar materials. They look similar and they make sounds in the same way. That's the most important part for me to remember. The conductor is the person standing in the front directing the orchestra. They are telling the orchestra the tempo, dynamics, and style, and they often use a baton when directing the group. Back to that. So here we have the string family, the violin, viola, cello, and double bass. In our story, the string family represents Peter. So anytime you hear any of the string players play bum bum ba bum 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 bum, that's Peter's theme. Peter is in this story. There are a lot of woodwinds in this story, so look for them. And here is, look, there it is. There's our bassoon that we've learned about today. A bassoon is a very long and low woodwind instrument. It has a double reed. The oboe also has a double reed. This is a horrible picture because you can't see it there, but you'll see it in a minute in another one of our pictures. So the brass instrument that is featured in our story is the French horn right here. The French horn, that's the character of the wolf. Okay? And you can go through these and you can click on any of the instruments and it'll play the sound for you. Percussion family, the 4th family that we talked about today. Percussion is anything you hit or strike. So if you're hitting an instrument or striking it to make sound or shaking it, something like that, it's going to be in the percussion. 2 drums that are featured in our story are the bass drum and the timpani. You're going to see some special guests who know how to play those drums. All right, so that's it for our orchestra review and our introduction to the bassoon. So now what I'd like you to do is go ahead and on your own time, if you're making up this lesson for this week, what I'd like you to do is to play the music of the month. It's a little video I made last spring. And what I did was I took some beautiful images from a storybook and I added the sound and I added some video and some pictures from some teachers that you might know. So look out. So you met Mr. Delalio today. He's in there playing the bassoon. We have a special guest playing the flute, special guest playing the clarinet and the French horn. Let's see how many people you know in this story. So it's right above us here. So if you're on lesson 15, what I'd like you to do is watch the beginning, at least the beginning of our video that shows what instrument represents what character. If you have time and you'd like to watch the whole thing, please feel free. Okay, I'll see you next week in General Music. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.